Tonight, 3 more abducted students of Bethel Baptist Secondary School in Kaduna State regained their freedom after being kidnapped twice by 2 sets of bandits. Plateau State government orders immediate crackdown on gunmen following continued attacks on several communities in 2 local government areas of the state. Resident doctor strike takes toll on patients as action enters the 2nd day. Governor Wike threatens to sack striking medical workers in River State. An Afghanistan army set for a major offensive against Taliban insurgents in the city of Lashkargah asks residents to evacuate. Plus, business, sports, news from Abuja, and later international news from our studio in London.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's external reserves set to rise by 10% as IMF approves historic $650 billion special drawing rights for economies hit by COVID-19.
On sports news tonight, Team Nigeria makes long-awaited appearance on the medal table after winning 1 silver and 1 bronze on day 11 at the Tokyo Olympics.
And from Abuja, 23 persons die from cholera, over 200 others affected as the disease spreads to 13 local government areas of Sokoto State.
And 3 more abducted students of Bethel Baptist Secondary School in Kaduna State have been found. The 3 students, who are all males, were said to have been found by troops at the Kankumi Forest General Area in Chukun local government, where they were reportedly abandoned by their abductors. Local sources told Channels Television that the 3 students had escaped from the bandits who kidnapped them from their school on July the 5th. And in the process of wandering inside the forest, they were kidnapped again by another group of bandits. The second set of bandits were said to have renegotiated and collected ransom from the parents of the 3 students, after which they dumped them inside the forest before they were found by troops. A total of 36 students have been rescued out of the 121 students kidnapped from the school. Meanwhile, no fewer than 6 people have been killed during separate attacks by gunmen in 4 communities in Karu local government area. According to Operation Safe Haven, the armed assailants invaded Kigom, Kikoba, Kishisho and Ungwan Magaji villages yesterday morning and opened fire on the locals, killing 6 people. In addition to the casualties, 8 houses, farmlands and some other valuables were burnt down during the attack. They were said to have retreated from the area following the arrival of troops who engaged them in a gun battle. According to the Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Samuel Arawan, the military and other security agencies are working with the governments of Kaduna and Plateau states towards containing the renewed cycle of violence in Karu local government of Kaduna State and Bassa local government area of Plateau State, respectively. Well, talking about continued attacks on several communities in Bassa local government area of Plateau State, the state government has ordered the immediate domination of the affected areas. This followed a meeting of the State Security Council, which approved a crackdown in Bassa and Riom local government areas, where gunmen have been wreaking havoc on innocent residents. The meeting, which was chaired by Governor Simon Lalong, reviewed the situation, which has claimed several lives and hundreds of houses burnt, and gave orders to the police personnel of Operation Safe Haven, the Nigerian Army, as well as other security agencies to reinforce and curtail the situation without further delay.
Coping with the situation, we have a marching order now to move out and get the situation under control in the next 2 days. And this is a sound of warning to everybody that has that are perpetrating this act. The reprisal that came did not warrant the level of destruction we are witnessing now. The leaders will be arrested. There are records of leaders that are on bail from government temporarily, and some of them have been fingered in these present attacks. Nobody will be spared. Human life is sacrosanct. Nobody can take it at will. There is a government on ground and it will not be accepted. That's the assurance we want to give from this meeting. His government, His Excellency has read the Riot Act to us now. that we should move out and within 2 days bring to book all those that have perpetrated this act.
And the Bishop Anglican Diocese of Kubwa, Dr. Duke Akamisoko, says that the gap in leadership is responsible for the challenges bedeviling the country. The Christian cleric made the statement at an event in Yola, the Adamawa state capital. According to him, crises all over the world as a result of leadership failure exists, and adding that Nigeria's current challenges are a result of unpatriotic leadership.
The security situation in killing and maiming and other things that are really bedeviling our society. But we are concerned that sometimes it seems that we don't have the solution to some of these issues. Proactive, preventive, retardatory steps must be taken. We must fight this because our nation is, whether you like it or not, we are in the state of war. And a situation in which we are not able to live our life freely and do our businesses, travel freely around the country and carry out our daily obligations, I think it is something that demands urgent attention. My worry is that our leadership has been compromised in one way or the other. The security architecture of this country has also been compromised in one way or the other.
And the senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, through his law firm, has written to the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, to request for information on the prosecution of 400 suspects arrested for allegedly funding terrorism. In the letter dated August 3rd and made available to Channels Television, Falana and Falana Chambers noted that the federal government on May the 4th said it had concluded arrangements to prosecute the suspects. The firm commended the move by the government, but asked the government to furnish information with respect to when the criminal charges were filed against the suspects. Falana and Falana Chambers made the request in accordance with the provisions of the Freedom of Information Act 2011. And to other stories, the strike embarked upon by resident doctors in Nigeria is already taking its toll on public health care and patients. In its second day, more state chapters of the medical body join in the industrial action. Let's take a look.
It's unusually quiet at the Alex Ekweme Federal University Teaching Hospital, a once busy area in Abakaliki, the Ebonyi state capital. Obviously, this is indicative of the effect of the nationwide industrial action by resident doctors on the government-owned facility. Although other medical personnel and consultants are attending to patients, the service is skeletal.
Came here as early as around 7:50 or so. And I'm still here. It's almost 1 o'clock. I have not been attended to. And I believe if the doctors were not on strike, I would have been attended to by now. And as well, and I'm not even sure if I will be attended to today. Maybe it will be deferred till next week. So I'm urging the government to do something concerning the strike, try as much as they can to settle the doctor, meet with their demands as well, so that the patients, because if the doctors are not there, how are we going to treat those that are sick?
I've waited here for long. I don't know whether the doctor I want to see will be around.
This is a very dangerous period. Hunger is covering everywhere, no money, and people are dying. People will be dying more if strike is embarked now.
Over 24 hours after the commencement of the strike, nothing has changed in terms of reconciling the differences between the resident doctors and the federal government.
We're not moving ahead. So there's a fundamental problem somewhere. Wherever it is coming from, I don't know. But NAD is saying that we are no longer interested. We want evidence-based fundamental rights to be done, given to us as what we demand.
Like the Alex Ekweme Federal University Teaching Hospital, the action is also affecting services and other public healthcare institutions in Lagos, Bayelsa, Cross River and Plateau states. The association blames the industrial action on the inability of the federal government to implement the agreement it reached with the union since the last strike was suspended.
If you go through the NAD communique, there are about 17 burning issues, which led to the strike. We have a circular from the Federal Ministry of Health that removed those house officers from the scheme of civil service. So which means that in terms of their remuneration and their welfare will no longer be determined by the civil service. So we feel that this is not acceptable. We have in so many centers, as we speak now, resident doctors that are being owed more than 6 months' salary.
And of course, the hazard allowance. You won't believe that till now, a doctor's hazard allowance is still 5,000 naira.
Both parties may have to consider those who are at the receiving end of the strike and find a lasting solution.
Well, the River State government has directed resident doctors at the State University Teaching Hospital to call off the ongoing strike within 24 hours or forfeit their salary and risk being sacked. A statement by the secretary to the River State government says while the doctors have the right to go on strike, the River State government expects that such action should be restricted to resident doctors that are directly under the payroll of the federal government, since the River State government does not owe salaries or benefits to resident doctors in the state. The Association of Resident Doctors at the River State University Teaching Hospital, after its congress on Monday, had directed its members to join the nationwide strike. The association, in a 9-point communique, accused the River State government of failing to domesticate the Medical Residency Training Act 2017 and a failure to pay the COVID-19 inducement hazard allowance to its members, adding that the state government has refused to promote doctors at the hospital for a minimum of 8 years. However, the communique appreciates the River State government as well for developing infrastructure in the state's health sector. While staying with the ongoing strike, the governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, has faulted the timing of the ongoing nationwide strike by resident doctors. Mr. Obaseki says even though the doctors' grievances against government is legitimate, the industrial action could have adverse effects as the country currently grapples with the latest wave of the coronavirus pandemic. The Edo State governor was addressing a delegation from the state chapter of the Nigerian Medical Association at the government house in Benin City, where he called on the body to help appeal to their colleagues to rethink their present stance and consider the implications on the people by returning to work.
I am not sleeping. I'm not able to sleep because I'm just worried. I'm somebody who doesn't worry normally, but from what I'm seeing and perceiving with this Delta variant, I'm concerned because I don't think we should lose any life. We will appreciate it very, very much if you guys can call out all your members from across the state and just look at it as an Edo thing. It's about us. It's about, we don't want to worry about what is happening anywhere else. Let's just focus on us and our people, and as much as possible, make sure that we do everything in our power not to lose any lives. And call your younger doctors, try and appeal to them that even if you are going to go on strike, we understand things are difficult. Promises have not been kept, but not now, not in the face of the pandemic. It is not right. It is not right at all. So plead with them. So yes, we agree that you may have a case, but not now. Don't do this today, because even if we can't help it, God will not be happy with you. That a trained doctor, in the face of the pandemic, you improve your services. It's not done.
In part two, after the break, students of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, protest death of colleague over alleged neglect by the school authorities following an accident. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. 3 more abducted students of Bethel Baptist Secondary School in Kaduna State regained their freedom after being kidnapped twice by 2 sets of bandits. Plateau State government orders immediate crackdown on gunmen following continued attacks in several communities in 2 local government areas of the state. Resident doctors' strike takes toll on patients as action enters the second day. Governor Wike threatens to sack striking medical workers in River State. An Afghanistan army set for a major offensive against Taliban insurgents in the city of Lashkargah asked residents to evacuate. Well, meanwhile, a statement from the university management describes the student, or rather the death of the student, as unfortunate and regrettable, noting that the other 3 victims were treated and stabilized, but Daniel, they say, did not respond to treatment. The university has ordered an immediate review of the incident. Still in the southwest, the Ogun State, 7 people are feared dead following an ethnic clash at Ibeshe, Yewa North local government area of the state. The police public relations officer, Mr. Bimbola Oyemi, said the clash resulted in a minor misunderstanding between commercial motorcycle riders operating at the area and the union leaders over a hike in ticket fees. The crisis, which allegedly started yesterday, was said to have snowballed into violence. Over 12 motorcyclists are said to have been burnt. The community leader who pleaded anonymity said some soldiers were mobilized to restore sanity yesterday, but the warring parties resumed hostilities today. And to Edo State, where the state government has suspended the principal and a housemaster at the Edo College, Benin City, after some students were subjected to physical abuse by other students. The decision comes in response to a social media video showing some students torturing their colleagues at the school. The state government has vowed to unravel the circumstances surrounding the brutal action, adding that the culprits will be brought to book.
A highly disturbing viral video of physical abuse of students by fellow students of Edo College, Benin City. Where you go? When Channels Television got to the school, we were denied access. So were officials from the National Human Rights Commission.
Immediately we saw a video that went viral where students were molesting other students. Our coordinator immediately sent to 2 of us as senior officers for investigation department to come and investigate to know what really went wrong.
The Edo State government, in a swift reaction, has intervened to unravel the circumstances leading to the show of shame.
Therefore, when parents send their children to our schools, they must be confident that those children will remain safe and secure in the school environment. Therefore, there are 2 levels of responses. First, the administrative, which is our employees, the principal, the housemaster, and any other staff found to have been negligent or culpable in this situation. Administrative steps are being taken.
The students allegedly involved in the abuse have been handed over to the Ministry of Justice for necessary action.
We're conscious of the fact that these are children, essentially as defined under the law. Therefore, those protections and safeguards of the rights of children accused of criminal offenses will be respected. They will be treated just in line with their age and with the requirements of the law, but they will face the law.
A press release signed by the secretary to the Edo State government, Osaodia Ogie, indicates that the principal of Edo College, Peter Edomoyi, has been suspended pending investigation, while the housemaster, Oame Stanley, is to go on indefinite suspension. The statement further directed that the victims be examined to determine their state of health. Osaze Obaze, Channels Television News.
And outside Nigeria, Nigeria's Consul General in South Africa, Abdul Malik Ahmed, is urging Nigerian government and citizens to help support those who lost their businesses in the recent civil unrest in South Africa. Nigerians are among the many business owners in South Africa struggling to pick up the pieces after nearly 2 weeks of violent looting and attacks on businesses and other establishments in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal provinces. although the South African government has set aside 3.9 billion rand to support the small and medium-scale businesses. Many foreign-owned businesses are worried that help may still be far away.
South Africa counts the cost of the many days of looting and arson attacks on several businesses in 2 provinces in the country. Many who are still worried about where to go or what to do next are some of the small and medium-sized owned businesses, especially those owned by foreign nationals. Here we're in Denver, an industrial area in Johannesburg, where we're here to see what is left of L&K auto panel beaters, owned by a 46-year-old Nigerian, Lukman Alade, who said he lost close to 9 million rand in looted property and then in the arson attack.
I just got a call around 1 o'clock in the midnight that, hey, my son has been looting. So I came out. When I came here, I saw that it's not only looting, there's a fire. And they burned all the car inside here, almost 54 cars.
In KwaZulu-Natal, the second affected province, the stories are no less heartbreaking.
That suffered it cuts across all nationals, not just Nigerians. Many Nigerians lost their businesses. They were burnt down, some in exchange businesses. A very pitiable case, again, is a certain Nigerian, interestingly married to an Indian South African. He did not only run the business, but also ran some kind of like a mini warehouse where some of the hawkers on the street will come store things in his place. So all those things that they came to keep in his place overnight, they took this they took every day. They took everything, destroyed his own businesses, his own wares, and everything that he was doing. And those people are insisting that he must also restore their goods.
Armed with a list of Nigerian businesses either looted and burnt or just looted, Nigeria's Consul General in Johannesburg, Abdulmalik Ahmed, is reaching out for help on their behalf.
So we call upon the Nigerian government and well-meaning Nigerians to come to their aid. You know, the records we have are actually conservative because most of them were not even willing to divulge, you know, their losses because of their frustration. They said even if they did, nobody's going to come to their aid. But we continue to reassure them that, you know, we're going to prevail and present their case to government, appropriate quarters.
But here in South Africa, 3.9 billion rand has been set aside to help. And government says foreign and locally owned businesses would be helped if they meet conditions.
We are looking at providing what we call blended finance, which is 60% grant and then 40% loan. We try to make the requirements very, very simple, but we have to make sure that we are also still compliant with SARS. We are engaging with SARS. We want to make sure that we also have businesses that are formalized because we cannot support people who don't want to be known because we have to account at the end of the day because we're utilizing taxpayers' money.
Lukman Alade confirms he's been reached somewhat.
Yeah, they came here, they gave us some form to fill, like claim something, so we're still expecting them. We don't know what's going to happen, you know, but we can't wait for them. We just need to move forward to start doing our job back.
Whether help will eventually come, many remain hopeful. For now, Lukman is literally picking up the pieces of what's left of his business to start again at a totally different location, armed with only hope and his 14-year-old daughter's words.
Well, that thing happened that day when I'm about to give up. It's my daughter just told me, no, Daddy, don't worry, you will do it again.
From Denver, Johannesburg, South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
Well, back home, the federal government has begun training 37,000 young people as its foot soldiers to combat fake news and disinformation across the country. The training, which is part of a 5-year strategy of the National Orientation Agency, targets 1,000 young persons in each state, including the Federal Capital Territory. The Director General of the NOA told journalists at the event that government needs to curb disinformation and fake news to win the fight against corruption, insecurity and other social vices.
Using WhatsApps
So I want to suggest, sir.
The Director General of the National Orientation Agency is organizing this workshop with media executives, and the goal is to train 1,000 young people in each of the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT to combat fake news and disinformation. The convener believes that the government needs foot soldiers or fact checkers if it must win the war against insurgency and corruption.
To fight against corruption, to fight insecurity, we must, of necessity, include the fight against fake news, hate speech, and misinformation.
Even though fake news has always been a challenge, some of the participants believe the advent of social media has caused an upsurge, placing additional responsibility on the traditional media to deepen fact checks.
Everybody is now a journalist. We are all journalists and journalists without border, courtesy of social media. You have neglected the conventional media, which in all cases you can get authoritative news.
It is our responsibility, especially those of us in the media, to be fact conscious.
Besides the conventional media such as television, radio and newspapers, new media platforms like Facebook, Twitter and WhatsApp have now become popular outlets for sharing and receiving information. Sadly, some have exploited the social media to propagate fake news and disinformation. That is why, beyond this training, the government has also made laws to regulate the cyberspace. The NOA further advocates the need for citizens to self-regulate while the government remains open with information.
Government agencies must come as quickly as possible with information to citizens. Secondly, is for we as citizens to self-censor.
As the saying goes, information is power, and what resonates here is that the powers to build or to destroy a nation lies in the kind of information that citizens disseminate.
When the news at 10 returns, 23 persons die from cholera in Sokoto State, plus Nigeria's external reserves set to rise by 10% as the IMF approves historic $650 billion special drawing rights for economies hit by COVID-19. Well, that's on Business News. Do join us again. Let's go over to our Abuja studios where Linda Kigwe has some more stories. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Millicent. 23 persons have so far died as a result of the outbreak of gastroenteritis in some communities in Sokoto State. Addressing journalists in the state capital, the Commissioner for Health, Mohammed Ali Inami, says the outbreak has also affected 13 of 23 local government areas of the state. He urged the residents of the state to avoid consuming contaminated food and water.
So far, we have 13 local governments that have reported one or more cases of gastroenteritis. Gastroenteritis is simply means, in common language, irritation of gastrointestinal tract, which is either caused by microbes like bacteria, or could also be caused by poisons, like in the case of food poisoning. As you are aware, we are in the rainy season, and it's also a known fact that there are a lot of environmental factors that are causing this outbreak of diarrhea and vomiting. So far, we have recorded confirmed deaths of these diseases, about 23 deaths so far. Then, so far, we have 265 people that are active, that yes, across those 13 local governments.
Two other stories. The Nigerian Postal Service has unveiled a 50 naira revenue stamp for denoting transactions in the country. Over 25 million units of the stamps have been printed for distribution, according to the service. The Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Dr. Issa Pantami, who unveiled the stamp in Abuja, says it's part of efforts to boost Nigeria's revenue generation. Our correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
By the Nigeria Postal Services.
The Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, alongside guests, unveiling the new 50 naira revenue stamp. It's the first stamp to be printed by NIPOST after President Muhammadu Buhari signed the Amended Finance Act 2020 into law in December 2020. Mr. Issa Pantami says the stamp will be used in authenticating all lawful transactions as it discloses plans by the federal government to reform NIPOST.
We also have a plan of NIPOST Property and Development Company. This is a company that will bring together all the properties of NIPOST, develop them, and make sure that government is generating revenue from them.
The bill to repeal the Nigerian Postal Service Act and reenact the Nigerian Postal Commission as passed third reading of both chambers.
The Southwest Governors Forum has called for the removal of the federal government's exclusive control of stamp duty collection. But the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, who speaks to journalists after the event, believes the agitation no longer suffices.
It has become a law. National Assembly has already approved. Mr. President has assented to it in Finance Act 2020.
Meanwhile, the Postmaster General of the Federation believes the current stamp charges by NIPOST need to be reviewed upward to meet current demands.
This same 50 naira that we charge, postal operators who are private operators charge 2,000 naira, 1,500 naira. So it is no doubt it is not sustainable at 50 naira.
The stamp will attract revenue, but you should know that NIPOST stamp is printed. It's minted. It's not as if it's just like we collect just the money. No, we use the money also in printing the stamp, and our money goes to the Federation account just like any TSA, just like any other agencies.
Stamps have been used in Nigeria since 1874, when Nigeria pioneered the production of stamps with the issuance of what was then known as the Lagos stamps. The federal government believes that the 15 naira denomination revenue stamp would add value to the economy. What Nigerians are waiting to see is how funds realized from the sales of the stamp will be utilized. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, young innovators in the country can now be hopeful of developing their ideas, as the Ministry of Science and Technology has indicated its readiness to collaborate and support them in this regard. The Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Ogbonnayonu, stated this when he hosted in Abuja some young innovators who invented the Sense Box and Aquabot devices, which are monitoring devices for air and water pollution.
We will be asking one of our departments to encourage you, because you mentioned that you need some assistance, some financial assistance that can help you to upgrade these devices so that, and also to improve on the research that you are doing. I know that the school is funding all this research, but I think we should be able to assist the school in doing so. So one of our departments will be giving you 5 million naira to assist you in this. And we will be asking one of our departments to encourage you, because you mentioned that you need some assistance, some financial assistance that can help you to upgrade these devices so that, and also to improve on the research that you are doing. I know that the school is funding all this research, but I think we should be able to assist the school in doing so. So one of our departments will be giving you 5 million naira to assist you, in this.
To politics, it appears the main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is having a tough time keeping all its executives under its umbrella, as 7 national officers of the party have resigned their positions. The officers, in different letters addressed to the national secretary of the party and made available to Channels Television, are alleging being sidelined and unfairly treated by the National Working Committee of the PDP, led by the chairman, Uche Secondus. The aggrieved party national executives say they have been marginalized and totally neglected. The executive members include the party National Deputy Publicity Secretary Diron Odeyemi, Deputy National Organizing Secretary Hassan Yakubu, and the Deputy National Women Leader Hadiza Tomorrow, among others. Although the national officers pledged their loyalty to the party, they say they can no longer continue to serve in those positions. Meanwhile, PDP governors have called for calm, asking those they described as detractors to leave the party alone. The PDP Governors Forum has also scheduled an emergency meeting to discuss the affairs of the party and the way forward. Away from politics, IPNX, one of Nigeria's leading information and communications technology companies, has announced the launch of FOS Extreme 1000, a new broadband service offering 1 gigabyte per second speed to residential users. This makes it the first player in the Nigerian market to offer such high speed. In her remarks, the divisional CEO, IPNX Retail, Kene Ene, says Nigerians deserve the fastest internet possible so they can fully benefit from all the internet has to offer. The new product is 50 times faster than the average broadband connection speed in Nigeria.
Living in a changing world where more and more of daily life and activities have significantly moved online, study, work, entertainment, and more, also means that Nigeria cannot be left out of the new normal. And IPNX, remember them? They have something new up their sleeves that is set to guarantee convenience and satisfaction. Riding on the back of over 2 decades as one of Nigeria's leading information and communications technology company, IPNX is introducing Extreme 1000, a new broadband service offering 1 gigabit per second speed to residential users, becoming the first player in Nigeria's market to offer such high internet speed.
Imagine that you buy your data plan, you buy 1 Mbps, which is what we're used to, or 2 Mbps. That's typically what you get on your mobile data, right? Now, move that 1 Mbps to 1 times 1,000. So you're getting speed that is 1,000 times faster than what you currently get at 1 Mbps.
Wondering how this has been achieved and can be sustained, management says they have got it covered by making the right investments in infrastructural backbone.
The infrastructure that we use today, we didn't build today. We've been in the business of fiber to the home since 2012, and we were the first to provide fiber to the home services to customers in Nigeria. And from 2012, we have consistently expanded on this infrastructure.
Added to this service is the speed upgrade for its full range of residential unlimited broadband packages, offering customers more at the same price.
We have 2 means of getting activated. You could sign up as a new subscriber and your service will be activated. We also have the opportunity, we're extending this to our existing customers where they will be afforded the chance. They can actually upgrade from whatever plan they are using to the new plan.
With a strong foothold in cities like Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Ibadan, IPNS says more cities will be connected to its high-speed broadband internet and voice services backed by its fiber optic technology, which has won the company lots of accolades and awards.
And that's all from Abuja. Now to Melinda for business news.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Many thanks, Linda. Welcome to Business News. The International Monetary Fund has approved the allocation of $650 billion special drawing rights to boost liquidity for economies struggling to recover from COVID-19. The financial institution says this is the largest SDR allocation in its history. It further notes that the general allocation of SDRs will become effective on August the 23rd and be credited to IMF member countries in proportion to their existing quotas in the fund. A report by Financial Services Corporation, EFG Hermes, says IMF's SDR allocation of $3.35 billion to Nigeria will boost the country's external reserves by about 10% and improve its foreign exchange position. The Debt Management Office, DMO, has announced the federal government's 2- and 3-year saving bonds offer at 8.86% and 9.86% per annum. According to a circular issued by the DMO, the federal government's bond offer at 1,000 naira per unit targets retail investors with a guaranteed interest payment. The offer opened for subscription on the 2nd of this month and will be due for redemption in 2023 and 2024 respectively. The Nigerian Communications Commission says Nigerians spent over 100 billion naira on internet data last year, and a breakdown of that report shows that GSM operators increased revenue by 12.33% from 2.02 trillion naira in 2019 to 2.27 trillion naira in 2020. Broadband penetration also rose to 45.93% within the year, while internet service providers generated a sum of 68.96 billion naira in revenue, up 28.31%. That's compared to the 53.75 billion naira recorded in 2019. Now, in February, the National Bureau of Statistics says the ICT sector was key to Nigeria's exit from recession in the fourth quarter of last year, as it contributed about 15.06% to the GDP. Let's head to the stock market, where the buy-side activity on the Nigerian Stock Exchange strengthened further on the shares of Airtel Africa as the all-share index rose by 0.81%. Laddie Williams has the details.
The equity market continued its bullish move today as the bull bellowed at the end of today's trading session. The all-share index was up 0.81% with over 4,000 deals. 231 million units of shares were exchanged by investors, while the year-to-date loss moderated further at 3.36%. Yesterday it was MTN Africa that pulled the market up, but today we have another telco, which is actually Airtel Africa, up over 5%. Also in the top gainers, we have Wema Bank and UPDC. Flip over to the losers counter. The trio of FTN Cocoa, Honeyflower, and M-Benefit topped that counter. Top trades by volume had Transcorp, Jais Bank, and Honeyflower. Looking at the market breadth, we have 11 stocks posting gains compared to 25 stocks declining. And just like yesterday, 4 sectors are down on the sectoral index. The equity market gained a whopping 163 billion naira at the close of trading for the second positive trade of the week. Let's hope this trend continues. And that's the stock market report. I'm Laddie Williams. It's back to you.
Many thanks, Laddie. It's a similar picture in the United States as major indexes closed higher in Tuesday's trading session amid concerns over a surge in COVID-19 Delta variant. And let's take a look at those closing numbers for Tuesday.
And after days of heavy fighting in the Afghan city of Lashkar, residents have been urged to evacuate while they can as the army prepares a major offensive against Taliban insurgents. Fighting has intensified across the country since early May, with the Taliban capitalizing on the final stages of the withdrawal of the US-led foreign forces after almost 20 years in the country. Here's Simon Pusey with more on this and other international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Residents of a besieged Afghan city have been urged to evacuate ahead of an army operation against the Taliban. At least 40 civilians have been killed in Lashkar in the past day amid intense fighting. General Sami Sadat, who is leading the battle against the Taliban in the southern province of Helmand, called on people to leave its capital as soon as possible. The Taliban are reported to have captured most of the city. Police are treating the death of a Belarusian activist in the Ukrainian capital Kiev as murder. Vitaly Shishov led a Kiev-based organization that helped exiled Belarusians and was found hanged in a park near his home. His colleagues said he had felt under constant surveillance since he left Belarus last year after taking part in anti-government protests, adding that he was warned about possible threats including being kidnapped or killed. Meanwhile, the International Olympic Committee has launched a formal investigation into allegations that Belarus attempted to force an athlete to return home.
We have decided to launch, not surprisingly, a formal investigation.
Kristina Timanovskaya has been granted a humanitarian visa by Poland and is now at its embassy in Tokyo. Ms. Timanovskaya said she was taken to the airport against her will after criticizing coaches and voiced fears for her safety. The IOC has requested that the Belarus National Olympic Committee submit its report on the incident in the next 24 hours. Authorities in the Chinese city of Wuhan will begin testing its entire population after a handful of positive coronavirus cases were detected. Wuhan has recorded 7 locally transmitted cases, the first local infections in more than a year. The city of 11 million people is where the virus is thought to have originated from in 2019. China is currently seeing one of its biggest outbreaks in months, with 300 cases detected in the last 10 days. German NGO ship Sea-Watch 3 carrying 257 migrants continues to wait to be assigned a port as the situation in the Mediterranean sees no sign of slowing. Sea-Watch 3 alerted Italy and Malta of the boats in distress and handed out life jackets to the migrants before 2 Coast Guard vessels rescued them. The ship is travelling north toward Italy and away from the search and rescue zone, awaiting a response from authorities to their urgent requests for a safe port to land. Iran's incoming president Ebrahim Raisi has said he will take steps to lift tyrannical sanctions imposed by the United States after winning the formal endorsement of the country's supreme leader. Mr. Raisi, who is under personal US sanctions over allegations of human rights abuses in his past as a judge, promised to improve the living conditions of Iranians, which have worsened since 2018 when Washington reimposed sanctions on Iran after abandoning a nuclear deal. He was elected in June to replace Hassan Rouhani in a vote in which other high-profile candidates were barred from standing. Tanzanians have started arriving at one of its 550 vaccination centres to receive their COVID jabs as a nationwide campaign gets underway. The country has received 1 million doses of the single-jab Johnson & Johnson vaccine from the US under the COVAX scheme. President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who got her injection last week, said Tanzania has placed another order for the vaccine through the African Union as part of its plan to initially target more than 60% of the population. Colombian authorities have seized raw materials after discovering a cocaine lab. According to the Colombian Armed Forces, this bust will be a loss of approximately $39 million for the illegal organizations behind the lab. Authorities found almost 850 kilograms of narcotics with solid and liquid supplies. A submarine with capacity to transport over 2 tons of drugs was also confiscated. And finally, the United States has begun returning more than 17,000 ancient artifacts looted and smuggled out of Iraq following its invasion in 2003. That's according to Iraqi officials. Tens of thousands of antiquities disappeared from Iraq after the 2003 invasion, and many more were smuggled out or destroyed. But the Iraqi Culture and Foreign Ministries said US authorities had reached an agreement with the government to return treasures seized from dealers and museums in the US, including a 3,500-year-old clay tablet bearing part of the Epic of Gilgamesh. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to Millicent in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. And let's bring you some sports news. Here's Ayotunde Balogun.
Thanks, Millicent. Following a disappointing week at the Tokyo Olympics, Nigerians finally have something to cheer about as the country won 2 Olympic medals. In athletics, Esebrume won Nigeria's first medal since 2008, and for Blessing Oburududu, she handed Nigeria the first ever wrestling medal when she won silver in the women's freestyle 68-kilogram category.
And her celebration says it all, handing Nigeria her first athletics medal since 2008, following in the footsteps of gold medalist Chioma Ajunwa in 1996 and silver medalist Blessing Okagbare in 2008.
She's been so consistent since 2014 at the top level for Nigeria. Commonwealth gold in 2014, Olympic 5th place in 2016, 5 years later, 3rd place. Obviously Doha World Championship 3rd place 2 years ago. So we just have to wheel her on to get to the silver and gold eventually. And definitely I still see definitely at least another Olympics, 2 or 3 more World Championships for Esebrume at the top level.
Blessing Oburududu shows class despite a nagging knee injury, losing in the finals of women's wrestling 68 kg category to Tamira Mensah-Stock of the United States.
Added to the fact she's the team captain, added to the fact she's extremely disciplined in and outside the mat. I thought this victory couldn't have happened to a better person.
Oburududu's silver medal in Tokyo means she is the first Nigerian wrestler ever to win a medal at the Olympics.
Well, China leads the medal table with 32 gold, 21 silver and 16 bronze medals, while the United States are in second with 24 gold, 28 silver and 21 bronze. Nigeria shares 64th position with India, Kenya, Kyrgyzstan, San Marino and Uganda after winning 1 silver and 1 bronze. And that's sports news.
Thanks, Ayotunde. And finally, we're on that table. And the main news again. 3 more abducted students of Bethel Baptist Secondary School in Kaduna State today regained their freedom after being kidnapped twice by 2 sets of bandits. That's news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Nwaka. Stay safe. Have a good night.